Keeping up with crypto these days, it really does feel like you're trying to, I don't know, drink from a fire hose, right? So much information, so many headlines.
It moves so fast, it's tough to kind of filter out what's really important.
Right, and you want to stay informed, but you also don't want to get completely overwhelmed.
Totally.
So that's exactly what we're here for on The Deep Dive, to bring you all the crucial insights without the information overload.
Yeah, we're here to cut through the noise.
Today, March 26th, 2025, we've been digging through the latest news, everything from market movements, policy updates, to some of the coolest new tech advancements and what's the community buzzing about.
Yeah, give you a little shortcut to understanding what really matters right now.
So ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, well, let's start with something that definitely caught my eye. GameStop making a big splash in the Bitcoin world.
Oh yeah, this is huge.
GameStop, the meme stock, the video game retailer, right?
Exactly.
So they're going all in on Bitcoin. Just the day after, hinting at it, they announced this plan to raise $1.3 billion.
$1.3 billion.
Through convertible debt. So a way for them to get funding now that could turn into company shares later, specifically to buy Bitcoin.
No. Yeah, it's a bold move.
Now, the market reacted pretty strongly initially. GameStop's stock price jumped, what was it, like 16% on the news?
Yeah, 16%. It felt a little bit like a flashback to the meme stock frenzy of 2021.
Right, yeah, and it's a story that grabs you.
Yeah.
This kind of underdog company making a bold bet. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite this seemingly bullish news, the broader Bitcoin rally kind of stalled out.
Yeah, the rally lost steam and even reversed a little bit.
It reversed. So it begs the question, is GameStop buying Bitcoin necessarily a positive signal for Bitcoin itself?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what does it really mean for Bitcoin? I think some analysts are seeing it as more of an isolated incident, maybe driven by, that same kind of retail investor enthusiasm that we saw with the whole meme stock thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Not necessarily a sign of broader institutional confidence in Bitcoin.
So it's really important to look beyond those headlines, right?
Absolutely. Dig a little deeper.
Flashy headline doesn't always mean a fundamental shift in the market.
Exactly.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit. Another area that's always kind of in the spotlight in the crypto world, stablecoins.
Yeah, and the regulatory landscape around stablecoins, it's constantly evolving.
It's a bit of a Wild West out there still. Lots of activity, lots of uncertainty.
Absolutely.
So Senator Gillibrand recently warned against what she called a watered-down stablecoin bill. It seems like we could see some legislative action before Congress's August break.
That would be big, right?
Yeah, that would be huge if it happens. We've been waiting for some clearer guidance on stablecoins for a while now. And it's not just at the federal level. Wyoming, they're moving full steam ahead with their own state-issued stablecoin.
WYST.
WYST,
Yeah.
set to launch in July. It's a fascinating little experiment, right?
It really is. It's like a case study in how states can potentially interact with digital currencies.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out. And then we also see, kind of this intersection of politics and crypto with companies like World Liberty Financial, tied to the former president,
Right.
promoting their own stablecoin in Washington with Donald Jr. reportedly involved.
Yeah, it shows how much crypto has become a part of the broader political conversation.
Yeah, and it's not just the smaller players. Fidelity Investments, a major name in traditional finance, they're reportedly getting ready to launch their own stablecoin as well.
That's a big deal.
Big deal. It's a real sign of this mainstream embrace of stablecoins and of crypto in general.
Yeah, definitely.
We're also seeing exchanges like Bitso. They launch a Mexican peso-pegged stablecoin, MXNB, on the Arbitrum network through their new subsidiary, Juno, and they're targeting cross-border payments in Latin America. That's a really practical use case, right?
Yeah, it really shows how stablecoins can solve real-world problems.
And speaking of real adoption, the market cap of USDC, it just hit a new all-time high, over $60 billion. That's amazing.
That's huge. It's now bigger than its peak in 2022. And what's interesting is it's actually growing faster than USDT.
That's really interesting. So USDC, it's not just on Ethereum anymore.
No, it's everywhere. It's on Solana, on Base, Arbitrum, Hyperliquid, even on newer testnets like Berachain. It's really integrated across the whole DeFi ecosystem.
That's really cool. And we also saw Revolut, the popular financial app. They launched a dedicated mobile crypto platform for their users in the UK and Europe.
Yeah, that's another sign of crypto becoming more and more accessible to everyday people.
So it feels like stablecoins are really gaining traction, both in terms of mainstream adoption and, regulatory scrutiny. But if you had to pick one thing, what do you think is going to be the single biggest shift in the stablecoin space in the next year?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think the biggest shift is probably going to be this increasing convergence of regulation and mainstream adoption.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, as regulators start to provide clearer guidelines, I think it's going to open the door for even more institutional involvement, and that's going to lead to more integration of stablecoins into traditional financial systems.
It's a domino effect, right?
Exactly.
Something to watch for sure. Okay, so let's move on to something that highlights some of the risks, in this evolving landscape. The situation with Hyperliquid and the Jelly token. This is a weird one.
Yeah, this is a strange story. So Hyperliquid, a decentralized exchange that specializes in crypto derivatives, they delisted the Jelly perpetual futures market, citing some what they called suspicious trading activity.
Sounds a little fishy.
Yeah, a little bit. So there's something called the vault squeeze, which basically involves, coordinated trading that forces the liquidation of leveraged positions, and it led to a loss of $13 million.
Oof.
Yeah, and the suspicious part of it suggests that there might have been some manipulation going on.
Wow. So not exactly the decentralized utopia we all dream of.
Yeah, not quite. And it didn't go unnoticed. The CEO of Bitget, another exchange, he publicly criticized Hyperliquid for the way they handled it.
Oh, interesting. What did he say?
Well, he raised concerns about the level of centralization on the platform and even drew comparisons to the collapse of FTX, which is, a pretty serious accusation.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, the argument is that a truly decentralized platform shouldn't have the power to unilaterally delist a market like that.
Yeah.
But in their defense, Hyperliquid has said that they're planning to reimburse most of the users who were affected by the Jelly delisting.
Okay, so trying to make it right.
Yeah, trying to do some damage control.
Still, it's a pretty stark reminder that, even in the world of DeFi, things are not always as decentralized as they seem.
Right.
And there are still these potential points of failure.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a cautionary tale for anyone who's trading in this space.
Yeah.
It's still a young and unpredictable environment.
Totally. Okay, let's switch gears again and talk about some of the positive developments, specifically with Ethereum. The Pectra upgrade is moving along, and we're seeing some real progress with Layer 2 scaling solutions.
Yeah, this is where we see the kind of underlying technology continuing to evolve and improve.
Yeah, so the final testing phase for Pectra has started on the Hoodie test network. That's a big step.
Yeah, it is. And if everything goes smoothly, we could see the upgrade go live on the main Ethereum network in about 30 days.
Wow, so that's soon. And we also saw Celo, a blockchain platform focused on mobile-first DeFi. They completed their migration to become an Ethereum Layer 2 network.
Yeah, using Optimism's roll-up technology.
So it's like they're leveling up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It allows them to take advantage of Ethereum's security while also improving their scalability.
So it's a win-win. And speaking of Layer 2, even Hyperliquid, despite the Jelly incident, they're still innovating. They implemented an integration between Hypercore, their trading engine, and HyperEVM, their Ethereum-compatible environment.
Yeah, and that's designed to make it easier for users to move assets between different DeFi applications.
So these technological advancements, especially these Layer 2 solutions, they're addressing the age-old problem of scalability in blockchain.
Right, which has been a major hurdle to wider adoption.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see these kinds of breakthroughs. Okay, let's talk about a trend that's really gaining momentum. Real-world asset, or RWA, tokenization.
Yeah, this is getting a lot of attention, especially from institutional investors.
The idea of bringing traditional assets like real estate, bonds, commodities onto the blockchain in the form of tokens, it has so much potential.
Huge potential.
And we're starting to see that potential become a reality. So right now, Ethereum is the dominant platform for RWA tokenization if we don't count stablecoins.
Yeah, it has over 80% of the market share.
Wow.
And, key DeFi protocols like MakerDAO, even BlackRock's BUIDL fund, they're all operating on Ethereum.
So first mover advantage.
Definitely.
But Solana is quickly emerging as a strong contender, especially after BlackRock's decision to expand its BUIDL fund to the Solana network.
Yeah, that was a big move.
That could significantly boost the value of tokenized assets on Solana.
Yeah, Solana's infrastructure is really well suited for certain types of RWA tokenization. It's known for its low transaction costs and its speed.
Right. So if you need to handle a large volume of transactions quickly and cheaply, Solana is really appealing.
Yeah, it could be a major advantage as this market grows.
Now, it's important to note that stablecoins still make up the vast majority of tokenized asset value, something like 97%.
Yeah, that's right.
And while Ethereum is the leader for USDC and USDT, Solana is also seeing some real growth in USDC adoption.
Yeah, and we're also seeing growth in the tokenization of things like government bonds and other funds.
And looking ahead, institutions like Citi and Boston Consulting Group are super bullish on RWA tokenization. They're predicting trillions of dollars in tokenized assets by 2030.
Trillions.
That's mind-boggling.
It's huge. That kind of growth would create massive opportunities for platforms like Ethereum and Solana.
Definitely. So it feels like RWA tokenization is going from this kind of fringe concept to a mainstream financial trend.
It does, and that shift is happening really fast.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a situation that highlights some of the complexities and potential pitfalls of decentralized systems, the recent controversy surrounding Polymarket.
Yeah, this is a really interesting case study.
It was a prediction market on Polymarket about whether Ukraine would agree to a mineral deal with Donald Trump before April.
Right.
And it was a pretty high-stakes market with over $7 million in trading volume, but the outcome became disputed, and it was referred to UMA, Universal Market Access, for resolution.
So UMA uses the votes of its token holders to settle these kinds of disputes.
Right.
And Polymarket actually said publicly that the market should resolve as no, because there was no official confirmation of a deal.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A large UMA token holder, along with other token holders, voted yes, which goes against what Polymarket said.
Wow, so they overruled them.
Yeah, and because of how the voting power is distributed in UMA, that yes vote was enough to determine the outcome of the market.
Even though it was wrong, essentially.
Yeah, even though it didn't match reality.
That's wild.
And it's even crazier is that Polymarket said, you know, we know this outcome doesn't match what our users expected or what we said, but we can't issue refunds.
Wow, so the people who bet on no, who were right, they just lost their money.
Yeah, because of the way the decentralized vote went.
It's a real head-scratcher, right?
It is. It shows how decentralized systems, for all their benefits, can also have these unintended consequences.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions about governance, about the concentration of voting power. You know, it's a reminder that decentralization isn't a magic bullet.
Yeah. It's not perfect. It's still evolving.
Right. Okay, so let's quickly go through some other interesting developments. We saw Movement, a blockchain platform, delist its native MBE token after announcing a strategic reserve.
Right. They said it was in response to some suspicious activity from market makers.
And the token price actually surged like 25% on the news.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, right?
It is. Interactive Brokers, the brokerage firm, they added support for trading SOL, AD, XRP, and DOGE.
Yeah, that's another sign that crypto is becoming more mainstream, more accessible.
Totally. Bitcoin mining stocks, they took a bit of a hit after reports that Microsoft is scaling back its data center plans.
Yeah, shows how the energy demands of Bitcoin mining are tied to the broader tech infrastructure.
Right. Constellation Network, they launched a new product called Digital Evidence, a blockchain-based solution for law enforcement.
Interesting use case. Tamper-proof digital evidence management.
And finally, Trust Wallet, the crypto wallet app, they hit a major milestone, 200 million downloads.
Wow, that's a lot of people holding crypto.
Yeah, and that number's only going up. So wrapping it all up, it's clear that the crypto world is a whirlwind of activity.
Always something happening.
Institutional adoption, regulatory changes, technological advancements, new trends like RWA tokenization, and, of course, the ongoing debate about the pros and cons of decentralization.
Yeah, and it's moving so fast.
So what really stood out to me was the contrast, you know? GameStop jumping into Bitcoin didn't really spark this broader market rally, and the Polymarket situation, it's a powerful reminder that decentralization comes with its own set of challenges.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, you know, now you have a better understanding of these key developments and you can navigate the crypto news with a more informed perspective.
That's the goal.
Yeah. So as you keep following the space, think about this. With more and more institutions getting into Bitcoin, what's that going to mean for its price volatility?
Yeah, good question.
How will the regulations around stablecoins affect their adoption?
Right.
And as these layer 2 solutions mature, what kind of impact will they have on the whole blockchain ecosystem.
Lots to think about.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is just the beginning of the conversation. Keep exploring, keep learning. The world of crypto is always changing.
It is, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
See you next time.
See you next time.